I've done the Final Fantasy V Berserker Only Challenge twice. Once in real time on the Super Nintendo, and again on the Pixel Remaster. It's time to pick up my axe and become a rabid Berserker once again. This time on the Game Boy Advance version. Thanks to cheat codes, this Berserker Only Challenge is uniquely starting right out the gate. There's no swords for Berserker Bards, so big fistin' it is to take on the 1 HP goblins in the battle before Lena joins. Fun fact, Lena does indeed briefly join your party for this tiny segment right before she leaves with Galoof. In a moment of clarity for Grug, I'm taking her knife. The hope being that when Lena rejoins the party, magically, she'll have a second one. My plan failed. One knife between 3 Berserkers it is, at least until the fabulous Ferris joins. Now it's a knife and dagger split between 4 Berserkers. There's no way around it. Berserkers are forced to grind right away. If I could use swords, I could chop up Wing Raptor easily. But with only 2 daggers, I'm gonna have to get some levels. The Wind Shrine's slurpable healing pot keeps me sustained through this grind, and it does it for free. Finally satisfied at level 8, I headed to the top of the Wind Shrine. Berserker's natural strength means that they're not completely worthless barehanded. That should help against the insurmountable wall that is Wing Raptor. Okay, boosted Berserkers absolutely demolish the tutorial boss in 1 round. That shouldn't be much of a surprise though, since you're supposed to do this as statless freelancers. The ghost of King Tycoon reveals the plot. Wait a second, he's not dead? I'm headed straight over to Zock's house for the canal key, which I enter after a shopping spree. Those misogynist squids deal some damage to Ferris, but that's nothing a few potions can't fix. As I enter the choke point, Carlibos bursts out in an ambush. It's kill or be killed. Carlibos is swiftly dispatched in 2 combat rounds, thanks to my 2 equipped Berserkers. Unfortunately, the weight of the chains attaching Sildra to the ship drags her down to the bottom. Definitely needed some quick release tabs on those. Motorless, I drift to the ship graveyard, where another round of grinding ensues. Pirate skeletons can drop daggers. I'm gonna need 2 for the unequipped Berserkers, then 1 more, since Lena's starting knife is weaker than the dagger. Conveniently, there's a rest site downstairs, so I can stay here grinding indefinitely. Acquiring 3 daggers is inevitable, but it definitely took its sweet time. I can't use my usual strategy of chucking potions at Undead Siren. I'm forced to swing these dinky daggers at anything that dares step in front of me, which ends up being the ghosts of my family and friends. Oh, wait a second. Big lady! The Thinithir Thedactra Thyron thin for a surprise since I don't care about her tricks, I simply kill. Slow and Libra are pretty good spells. Oh, look at that, it's already over. Casually strolling down to Carwen, I can get some new gear. I've already got the daggers, so armor and items are gonna have to do. The Berserkers blitz their way up to the North Mountain in a frenzy, but they took a nap at the top. Lena smells the poison flowers and rushes forward, only to be darted in the neck by Magisa. The rest of the party prepare for battle. 1 round of cuts and Magisa's already calling for backup. Ferris finished off Magisa afterwards. How ironic, Forza! You're crushed to death by Berserkers. Hear you? It's time to get better, then fly us home. Just kidding. No need for Tycoon's heirloom treasures. It's straight to walls for superior treasures. That I bought at full MSRP. At least I finally got Berserker's iconic weapon, axes now. After an insightful conversation about seeing red with King Waltz, Hiryu's flying me to the Waltz Tower. I promptly ascend, leaving disgusting gore everywhere. Oh hey, it's the water crystal. Garula's roided up on the musk, and I'm gassed up on testosterone. Let this be our juiciest battle. Garula attacks, then I attack. Sometimes Garula counters, and sometimes I block. In the end, Garula's carved up, and while my anger is sated for now, the plot is not. The water crystal explodes. Then the Waltz Tower sinks. Sildra, smelling that delicious mammoth meat, comes to the rescue. I really should have saved her a piece. She starved to death. No use crying about it. I briefly became a scientist to teleport myself westwards, where I had an insightful conversation with Sidolphus. Now I return to being a brainless rage pig as I relentlessly slaughter Nax for over an hour. At level 21, I regained enough sanity to purchase the full suite of mithril gear from Karnak. Sid is horrified by the monster I've become. He stands aside as I enter the fire ship, where the wanton slaughter continues until I reach the engine room. Queen Karnak sicks liquid flame at my beastly Berserkers. You ever barbecued hammers? The hammers have a huge damage range. The daggers are more consistent. I was banking on the hammers to high roll, but my god, I forgot how bad their accuracy really is. After 3 failed attempts at liquid flame, it's clear that daggers are the right choice. The problem with Liquid Flame is that counter blazes and fires from form shifts absolutely wreck Berserkers. And I have no recourse for that because healing is simply not an option. 3 more attempts at Liquid Flame, completely bombed. But I still have a few tricks up my sleeve. Dropping armor reduces your weight, which speeds up the ATB. I'm back to hammer time, because a hammer high roll is like 500 damage, and blaze counters are gonna kill me. I need all the damage I can get. The only way that I can win this is if I get lucky with the ATB and Liquid Flame does favorable form shifts. Which happened right now on attempt number 9. Berserkers won by simply lucking out. Unfortunately, Suze ain't so lucky. He got his paw caught in the door and got blowed up. Karnak's crystal, and therefore the castle, is now gonna blow up too. Don't ask me, I didn't design this place. Frenzied fighting over to the sides to grab the Elf Cape and main gauche. Both offer a unique 25% chance to dodge physical attacks. And yes, they stack. Extra gil and elixirs on the other hand are not helpful, so it's time to go. Fighting Ironclaw really is just up to dumb luck. 2 knacks get cut down while I do a slew of slugs on the sergeant. The final knack dies, and Berserkers taste victory, courtesy of the main gauche. I take 1 step out of Karnak and it blows up. Guess that timer was a little off. Having a little bit of a Bruce Banner versus the Hulk situation here in the Ancient Library. But the Hulk persona takes over. Books make Grug angry. Grug smash! Oh joy, Ifrit's another blaze spammer. Thankfully, Ifrit's got less juice than Liquid Flame and he goes down before he can cook the party. Ifrit is getting exactly 1 use, and that's on this trickster book here. But I'd really prefer if he showed up for this book-based boss in the basement. Byblos, why you gotta be such a pain in the hiney? Counter protect, slow, level debuffs, and of course, wind slash to deal heavy party-wide damage. Not to mention he starts sucking you off if you can even get him to low HP. I would definitely prefer not to grind more, yet, but level 21 is feeling pretty underwhelming. So I ran it down, 16 times. The stars aligned, my hammers high rolled, and Byblos gave up and didn't bother putting up protect. He chose to instead use magic hammer and slow. Book-based boss successfully bonked. Let's mosey mid. The brain trust is reunited. My reward is the now mobile fireship. Crescent Island is on the docket, but I took a detour to Jackhole first. Jackhole's mage mashers are better than mithril hammers, and they can occasionally cast silence. I also snagged some ninja suits. They're comfy and easy to wear. Unfortunately, this is where all of the fun of the run dries up for a while. This is several grinds back to back. Step 1 is to head south of Crescent Island to grind on harvesters until I can get 4 death sickles. These are extremely strong axes that can cast instant death. Step 2 is to grind for 200,000 gil for a complete set of angel rings from Istory. Cash and EXP grinding happens at Black Flame Island, just north of Crescent. I did just farm these death sickles, but mage mashers actually work a lot better here. Black flames have high evasion, daggers just have better accuracy than axes. 200,000 gil later, I went to Istory to buy my fabulous rings. Angel rings grant high magic resistance and give you immunity to old and zombie statuses. These angel rings are a non-negotiable for the soul cannon, but that's a future problem. Fortunately, they're also my best accessory for the next boss. The true bane of any Berserker only playthrough, the Sandworm. Berserker only on the GBA is less of a nightmare than the Super Nintendo version because there are no dummy targets, but it still exists within its own personal nightmare. Berserker's randomized targeting means you only hit the Sandworm 1/3 of the time. The holes counter with gravity when they get hit. My best weapons, the Mage Mashers and Death Sickles, will also trigger a double gravity counter if silence or death goes off. Gravity is percentage damage, by the way, so grinding more HP doesn't even really help. Berserker's only chance is to kill fast by lucking out and hitting the Sandworm before I succumb to gravity counters. Sandworm's a real doozy, and honestly, there's just nothing else I can really do. This is just running attempts on the Sandworm, or running back to grind and hoping that I hit some kind of damage breakpoint. So while I grind my booty cheeks off to beat Sandworm, why not like and subscribe? If you're a true Backlog Buster enjoyer, you can even become a channel member or join the Patreon. You'll be able to view super secret exclusive Premium Buster videos. Coming up, we'll be going on a solo Cecil adventure through Final Fantasy IV. But right now, I can see the golden path to the future. I stopped counting Sandworm attempts. In between these attempts, I grinded to level 40, which feels like a hard limit in World 1, honestly. It's also endgame levels if you're playing casually. There's simply nothing left to do but run endless attempts. Eventually, just like with Byblos, the stars aligned. It probably helped that I slapped a bunch of gravity counters away thanks to magic defense from angel rings and my now absurdly high level. Shai Halud is sliced up with death sickles. The first major wall is over. Time to actually play the darn game. Walking through the desert, I find that King Tycoon is actually not dead. He's just become the Trap Master. I will unleash my anger at being tricked on the Crayclaw. Barely an inconvenience, even on a good day. Now I can fly back to Gon, only to find an even bigger airship that's mogging on me. That makes me so mad! I'm gonna cathartically crush that turtle for some adamantite. Dead in 2 rounds of attacks. I'm back! Get to work, boys! My turtle-shelled ship can fly higher into the sky where the Ronka ruins are laying in wait. The side rocket launchers and their gravity/confuse attacks? Not a problem since Berserkers are immune to confuse by virtue of being Berserk. And the flamethrowers barely tickle them. The soul cannon emerges by engorging itself out, shooting straight out of the zipper of the Ronka ruins. Wave cannon deals 50% of your max health and inflicts sap. That means I have to win before a second wave cannon hits my Berserkers. The side launchers like to hold your party. I'm immune thanks to angel rings. 2 quick hits take out the first launcher, and 2 more follow-ups take out the second one. The only target left is the soul cannon itself, and it's getting shredded by death sickles. Even so, getting nailed with at least 1 wave cannon was inevitable. Galoof succumbed, but a few follow-ups and the soul cannon is kill. Berserkers are non-stop killing their way through the Ronka ruins. Just kidding, I'm cheesing it all the way to the bottom. Love how you can run in the GBA version as Berserkers. King Tycoon, would you please step aside so I can wrangle that slippery serpent? Archaoavis' gimmick is rotating magic defenses. My gimmick is hitting things with an axe. The first forms are shredded in 1 to 2 attacks each. After Archaoavis revives, it gets 1 Breathwing off before dying again. Kryl busts in, then Exdeath busts out. King Tycoon is turned into a ghost for real, and then Galoof and Kryl slink away in a very loud meteor. Better chase them down in the Bartz's World Meteor World Tour. I'm starting back at Gon, because I'm gonna kill the Chimera Brain in a single attack. God, I love death sickles. Titan's next on the chopping block, and that blockhead really is chopped up. Final attack Earthshaker. Don't make me laugh. Now, for the most problematic of the 3, the Perobolos Bomb Squad. Who needs Mage Mashers? I opted to just let it ride and hit it with death sickles. Berserkers are killing constantly, which forces Arise counters. But them Perobolos boys don't actually have that much MP. This fight took a while, and Bartz ended up laid out thanks to some self-destructs, but it's over. My brain is completely shut off, and I'm engaging autopilot as I throw myself into the Meteor convergence portal. Exdeath catches me and throws me in jail, but that can't stop Galoof and his boundless rage. Mr. Furious slugs Gilgamesh, killing him instantly, with 2 attacks, freeing the party. You'll be shocked to hear that the battles on the Big Bridge are a complete walkover. That includes Gilgamesh 2, Electric Boogaloo. Sure, he gets both Protect and Haste off, but he's gotta carve through almost 10,000 HP across my party while being crushed by axes. It was never gonna happen. Once he leaves, I'm free to get blown across the world by the barrier. Lately, Regol has been kind of unnecessary, but I have to stop this time. Death sickles rock, but not against undead enemies. Gonna need those Orichalcum Dirks from the weapon shop. High potions are gonna help with sustain through dungeons too, which happens right now as Mr. Moogle falls into the underwater cave system. After a very fun and engaging water slide ride, Berserkers have to face off against their toughest challenge yet. Okay, I mean, that was a Sandworm, but the Tyrannosaur. Normally, you just hawk a Phoenix down and call it a day, but Berserkers can't do that. The blue magic, question mark, does damage equal to missing HP. And here it is, blowing Galoof's entire body apart. Thankfully, I'm equipped up with shields. Berserkers blocked basically everything else Tyrannosaurus threw at us. He is now officially extinct. Desert dodge into the Moogle village where I get the Dancing Dagger and another Elf Cape. Dance is technically one of like 2 abilities I can actually use this run. But Dance sucks, so it's back to Ball for the plant-based meat of the story. Passing through Kelb, Kelgar regales the story of the Dawn Warriors. God, I love the Dawn Warriors so much, it's unreal. After buying power sashes for some strength, it's time to make your daddy proud, Bartz, and ascend to Drakenvale.
Proud? Proud.
Drakenvale is filled to the brim with undead enemies, so the Dirks are staying on. There's little resistance as I ascend to the peak. The hidden bone mail is fundamental to Berserker's success, and you know that I put it on. The Dragon Grass is guarded by the Dragon Pod, which is susceptible to instant death. My Death Sickles throw out one really quickly. Now just to clean up the remaining flowers, and I got the grass. Double dirked up on a Drakenvale descent, I return to Ball and dump that grass straight into the Windrake's mouth. Of course, Lena got her share too. Jigsaw would be so proud. The Windrake is instantly rehabilitated. I'm flying Kryle's nameless Windrake straight over to Castle Surgate so I can buy poison axes. This is Lena's favorite weapon by far. She's like a kid in a candy store. After dunking Sage Gito, it's off to the Great Fleet of Surgate to stop Exdeath once and for all. Just kidding, I gotta have a chat with Zaza, the Dawn Warriors. Then smash Gilgamesh into next week. Enkidu shows up to undo my hard work with White Wind, but Berserkers just keep on smashing everything. 2 more bozos bonk to death. After that kerfuffle, Zaza smashes his submarine straight into the barrier tower. I'm double dirked up once again because Berserkers desperately need all of the help that they can get. Reflect rings are rare drops from Reflect Knights, who, once you know it, have permanent reflect. That means that Death Sickles are out since they can reflect the instant death onto my party. Poison Axes are out too, since getting poison reflected, while not nearly as debilitating, is still really annoying. I was here for over an hour grinding Reflect Rings for the team. Once I had all 4, I ascended to face off against the Interdimensional Maw, Atmos. I'm axing Atmos a question with my Poison Axes. Usually Atmos nukes someone from orbit, but Berserkers are so beefy it took him a while. Thankfully, only Lena got brained. Bart's came very close though. Atmos starts sucking, and I proceed to slash him to ribbons. There really is no such thing as a free meal, Atmos. Let's not forget about our friend Zaza. Oh, he got blown up. Zaza's submarine is bequeathed to the angriest guys in town. Then I set sail to my most hated part of the game, Sage Gito's cave. Love how Berserkers can run away from fights in this version. Before I got irrationally angry, the Guardian branch is mine, and I'm submarining over to Moore. Moore's air knives are technically upgrades. Unfortunately, they're wind elemental, aka useless for the next boss fight. Story of Berserker's life. The new shields and armor are pretty good though. Inside the forest, it's just running from everything until Exdeath blows it up. While it's busy burning, I got the Aegis shield, one of the most important pieces of gear in this run. Trust. Saved by the Moogles, the forest is burnt to a crisp. Except for the Guardian Tree, that's fine. But the Guardian Tree has Guardians inside. Who could have predicted this one? The crystals are susceptible to instant death, so I'm returning to my life as a lowly fisherman. The Berserkers swing the Death Sickle and pray for an instant kill. Death Sickles are kind of starting to show their age. But here's why that's a good thing. When the crystals get below 50% health, they stop physically attacking and start spamming very powerful magic. The Reflect Rings keep me covered from Aeroga and Firaga. Unfortunately, Earthshaker and Aqua Breath aren't reflectable. Oh ho ho ho, how convenient this is for me. The Earth Crystal gets instant deathed, and the Fire Crystal shortly after. Since the Water Crystal is in the front row, it got bonked down to its magic phase. Aqua Breath is actually the weakest spell though, so it's fine, it can take a few. After a second Aqua Breath, the Water Crystal goes down. Only the Wind Crystal left, and with Reflect Rings on, I can't die. Aeroga gets reflected, and while it heals the Wind Crystal, it's minimal. I've won, the Wind Crystal just doesn't realize it yet. Oh no, I was placed on a ruse cruise! Exdeath enters on stage left, and then a battle ensues. Galoof wins, but he's lost, he just doesn't realize it yet. Exdeath has also lost, but he doesn't realize it yet either. I just gotta run over to his house and beat it into him. Friendship ended with Death Sickles. Air knives are my new best friend, and I have to equip the cat that devoured Kryle anyways. The only equipment that Berserkers can actually even use in Exdeath's castle is the Ice Shield. Don't get me wrong, the Ice Shield is really good, but Final Fantasy V forgot to put an axe in here. But I didn't forget to fight Gilgamesh. This is a duel to the death, and he's getting completely run over. Oh, except he used Flash, goodbye my accuracy. Man, then Ferris ate it and Lena was smalled? Too bad for Gilgamesh, my killing power is supreme, once I land a hit that is. Gilgamesh transforms in a last-ditch effort to win, but he was tricked! The real Excalibur's in Kuza, you doofus! For his incompetence, Exdeath banishes him to the end zone. Now I'm gonna banish Exdeath straight down to heck, using the most primal form of magic. Knife. Oh god, he's got knife too! Although that means I dodged a condemn. A 3-person reverse polarity to the back row isn't great, but there's nothing I can do about it. Berserkers are just gonna keep on slashing away. The good news is that it's making vacuum waves hurt a lot less. Earthshaker is also feeling pretty harmless. Maelstrom, on the other hand, Bart's is just gonna die. But he can just pull out his Aegis shield to block the zombie breath. You love to see it. My HP is getting taxed hard, but Berserkers pushed Exdeath to his final phase. Kryle was the first to go down to a vacuum wave. But she's a trooper, she stayed up long enough to reflect the Thundaga. Reflect rings are always worth grinding on Berserkers, by the way. Bart's fell next, but those Tycoon sisters just won't go down. Tanking, dodging, and blocking vacuum waves all while reflecting the tier 3 spells. Ferris finally succumbed to a double vacuum wave. Lena's the last lady standing. She's got 80 HP in sap, but she's a dreamer, baby. Down to 50 HP. She's blocking. I want to believe. Girls get it done for real. Exdeath explodes, and I'm sent hurtling back to Bart's world. The Tycoon sisters have arrived home and they're staying. Berserking through 0 enemies over to Boko, who briefly bounces over to a hole, where he's berated by Bart's. Antlions never attack people, by the way, but when they do, they're promptly put down. Big Hair's back in the crosshairs, and after flipping a turtle, a fight ensues. Too bad it was a cutscene, otherwise I might have actually won. Guido yaps about the legendary weapons in the library. I can get 2 this time around. But first, I need to head over to more. The chicken knife is actually a viable weapon in the Game Boy Advance version since I can run away from battles, and it's not glitched like the Super Nintendo version. Yoinked? I've spent a lot of time running, so this is pre-beefed up. It's superior to the air knives. That should help against the Gargoyle Guardians of the Pyramid. These gargoyles need to be killed at the exact same time to win this battle, otherwise they get revived. I've got no other options besides praying that randomized targeting eventually wears them down evenly, and then finishes them off close to the same time. This worked out surprisingly quickly. That's the first and last set of Guardians you're gonna see this run too. Inside the pyramid, I immediately get a rare Lamia's Tiara drop from a Lamia. Hang on, that's not the right one. Oh right, I need to test Thornlets. When will they learn? A quick trip to the bottom for a flame shield, then it's the lengthy ascent to the top. A second ice shield shows up in a trapped chest, then a bunch of robots. Hang on, was Ancient Aliens real this whole time? Mecha heads can actually be a little bit scary because of wave cannon, but Berserkers killed them fast and furiously. And just like that, I'm at the top, releasing the Dragon King Bahamut to terrorize the world. For now, I'm terrorized by something even more scary and sinister, a scantily clad woman riding a snake. Reflect rings keep me mostly safe against Melusine. She's desperate to spam magic spells. That's why she spent the first 5 turns smacking me around with her little slappy hands. Melusine's elemental barrier will absorb her reflected spells, but Sergei Castle's poison axes are coming in clutch. Axes have a defense-penetrating property that cuts through Melusine's insane physical defense. When they can actually land a hit, that is. Berserker's damage is far too high to offset the minimal self-healing from Melusine's reflected spells. She's crushed. I wave the poison axe under Lena's nose and she's back in the party, in delicious leopard print. My airship conveniently floated over, so I get on it, and watch in horror as Exdeath slurps up the world. But that just means I get to do the standard Merge World practice. Except Berserkers can't use the magic lamp, so it's just straight down to Phantom. It's time to unload all of my now irrelevant gear. That includes 21 spare death sickles. God, grinding for Sandworm sucks. I ended up with enough gil for 4 pairs of Hermes sandals right away. These grant permanent haste and immunity to time magic shenanigans. I'll need to get some more cash for the armor and Gaia hammers, but for right now, it's just snagging the thief knife and freeing the black chocobo. Bingus! Before I spend a ridiculous amount of time grinding in the North Desert, I decided to drop off the tablet and Kuza for some weapons. That's just efficiency right there. The 2 weapons I can actually use are the Assassin's Dagger and the Rune Axe. Both excellent additions to the arsenal. I'll take the Flame Lash too. Now that the monsters of the Void are freed, I can safely ignore them and head to the Rift whenever I want. Through 2 Berserker-only challenges, I know the joy of endgame Berserkers. I'm going to need to grind to level 85 plus to even stand a chance at beating Neo Exdeath. So it's off to the North Desert on Bingus to grind. To an absurdly high level. Through my battles I accumulated the cash. I return to Phantom periodically for mandatory coral rings, the best armor available in the game, and some Gaia hammers. Level 69 should be sufficient to crush the Interdimensional Rift. But first, I have to test if the Gaia Hammer Thornlet combo works in the Game Boy Advance version. In a world of terrible online wikis full of lies, the only person you can trust is yourself. I headed back to the Pyramid of More, grabbed the Thornlet from the trapped chest. I equipped a Gaia Hammer and nope! The magic underflow glitch truly is exclusive to the Super Nintendo version. The more you know. That saves me trying to get rare steals from Lamia's at least, but there's going to be plenty of rare steals later on the Interdimensional Rift, which is right now. I'm 35 levels or so higher than you'd be here casually. As a result, it's just revving up the garbage truck to take up the trash. Caliphystery's carved up. Drain counters cannot keep up with this damage output. A panda's book-based body's broken in half. Who even needs fire weapons to beat this guy? Speaking of weapons, I actually need to get one here in the Dimension Castle. One quick left turn to get the Thor's Hammer. This is the world's strongest hammer, and it's back row okay. Azul Magia status annihilated. Didn't even get to use any of the good blue magic, you bozo. There's a save point here for a zesty resty, and I'm getting shoved by catastrophe. Don't make me laugh. Behold the power, you legally distinct beholder. Berserkers have no time for sloppy kisses. It's only time to kill. Halicarnassus actually catches a break with her turn 1 Toad for once. Toad won't stop my Berserkers from berserking, but Toad-like bodies don't deal a whole lot of damage. Should have equipped some Gaia hammers for earthquake procs. Equipped as I am, I simply have to wait this out. The AI script of Halicarnassus will be my salvation. Halicarnassus eventually rips out a Holy, which explodes Ferris, but after that, her AI loop resets right back to the start. Karururururu returns to untoad my team. Untoaded, Halicarnassus is hacked up with axes and other blunt objects. The longest boss fight Berserkers have had so far. No brakes on the train, it's time for Twintania. Coral rings are mandatory for this fight. There's no chance that I survive the deluge of counter tidal waves without them. But with them, I just won easily. 55,000 HP is quickly carved off without a Giga Flare in sight. I've actually got about 50 high potions left, so I'm pushing this just a little further. The Crystal Dimension is no joke though. Gilgamesh, on the other hand, is kind of a joke. We catch up on current events, and he leaves, never to be seen again. Berserkers are doing surprisingly well fighting through the Crystal Dimension, which is good, because I'm gonna need to spend a lot of time here farming rare steels with the Thief Knife. But before that, I have to beat the Necrophobe. Man, these barriers are just unloading all over my team. Berserker's randomized targeting is making this first phase take forever. But at level 69, Berserker's beef lets them tank it all. Unfortunately, Necrophobe in phase 2 opens up with Flash. Great, my one weakness. Losing as Berserkers was inevitable at least once. Good thing I'm a save point enjoyer. This second time around, thanks to the Aegis Shield and Bone Mail, I blocked the Flash on Bartz and Lena. They took Necrophobe on a ride on the pain train until Gilgamesh showed to blow himself up. Now that this save point is active, I can stay here a lot longer. Now I need to rely on the Thief Knife to rarely cast Mug to get rare steals of Aegis Shields from Gorgimeras and Bone Mails from Necromancers. I need 3 of each, and the monsters here don't give any EXP, by the way. See you in hours. Oh yeah, and since the Gaia Hammer glitch doesn't work in this version, I'm gonna need 3 more Thor's Hammers too. Those are back in the Dimension Castle from Deathclaws. Even more rare steals. Beautiful. I made a couple of valiant attempts at finishing the game at level 70 without all of the rare gear. It ended up exactly how you'd expect. I'm tapped out of resources, so I had to leave to restock on high potions, cabins, and all that extra cash I got. That is for out-of-combat elixirs, baby. Yes, I'm serious. I proceeded to grind to level 82 in the desert, and then came back to face Ned here with a new plan. Zombies. Courtesy of Death Dancers in the Dimension Castle. Zombified characters will only ever attack your team. If a zombie hits me while using a Death Sickle, and it procs the instant death while I'm wearing a Bone Mail, I'll heal to full health. It's definitely a way to try and beat Exdeath at a lower level, but it just wasn't working out. I'm sure you could get this to work, but this once again feels like a Super Nintendo only strategy. The only surefire way I found to beat Neo Exdeath as all Berserkers is 4 times Aegis Shield, 4 times Bone Mail, and 4 times Thor Hammer Berserkers in the back row. Surefire is kind of not accurate. Even after stealing all of that rare gear and equipped to the 9s, Exdeath really just boils down to dumb luck. I can still hedge my bets with levels. More HP will always help. I headed back to the desert to grind to level 92. If these attempts at level 92 fail, I'm going all the way to the max level. Just for fun, I did a rare Backlog Buster stream of these attempts. But I'm gonna cut to the chase right now for the dramatic final battle. Equipped up with Aegis Shields and Bone Mails, I'm immune to almost every status. Except Toad, and if I get Toaded, that's a reset. Fortunately, with the Aegis Shield and Bone Mail, I completely negate White Hole. White Hole is also a reset if you don't have that stuff. The first phase was basically me just beating Exdeath to death with hammers while he physically attacked me like 2 times. Exdeath phase 1 is the easy part. Neo Exdeath shakes into the battle, vibrating with motion. My party knows the shtick. Even magic lampless, they're focusing on the lady in the back. Neo Exdeath has Ferris's big hair in the crosshairs. Elmagust was inevitable. It dealt a sadistic 3200 damage party-wide. Maybe I should have unequipped the Bone Mails. An exceedingly rare Fyraga sighting hits Kryl for another 3300 damage. Ah, come on, Bone Mail. Grand Cross comes out and I remember exactly why I had all those Bone Mails on. The hammers keep flying in from the back row, which is helping a ton with physicals and vacuum waves. The Aegis Shields are doing their part blocking too. Speaking of, just ignore a holy. Great job, Lena. More hammer throws are coming out for unimpressive damage. Am I losing my momentum? The Aegis Shield continues to be the world's most valuable piece of gear as it prevents a Petrify from Delta attack. The lady in the back is the first part to fall, just like in every single other Exdeath fight I do. But Almagust hits again for another 3,000 damage. Except on Lena and Cryle, they blocked and dodged it. Unfortunately, Lena immediately succumbed to Doom, but I've still got 3 Berserkers in a dream. A dream I am rapidly losing faith in because my Berserkers keep missing and splitting their damage across the remaining parts, but it's fine. Grand Cross number 2 is simply silence on Cryle, so nothing's changed. The bottom part falls next, followed by the big beefy dude in the front. The lion guy in the back's all that's left. My Berserkers made a valiant effort to kill him, but Meteor with a follow-up vacuum wave wiped everyone except Bartz, who survived with like 400 HP. 2.5 hours later, Bartz, the lone survivor, threw his hammer and slugged that stupid horny lion right in the kisser.
Proud. Proud.
That's the final Final Fantasy V Berserker Only challenge in the bag. The third, and truly final time I do a Berserker Only run in Final Fantasy V was completed in 1 day. 2 hours, 31 minutes, and 29 seconds. The Matrix software version isn't even real, and you can't prove otherwise, because I don't see no stinking store page. In this playthrough there was a lot of emulator speed up, and it still took over a day of real time. Emulator speed up is why playtime wise this is about par with the Pixel Remaster and its 4 times EXP. Berserkers are very slow in random battles, but running them at 8 times speed while doing grind sessions helps a ton. Not to mention, the ability to flee through dungeons. But Wes, you scream as a discerning viewer. You said there'd be no more job-based challenges for Final Fantasy V. That's true, and when I said that, I completely forgot I recorded this. This was buried deep on my second hard drive in my overflow folder. The reason this was in my overflow folder was this playthrough was exactly the same as the Pixel Remaster. And I mean like, exactly the same. Which kind of makes this video pointless and redundant. The only difference in this playthrough is that with the GBA codes I could actually start the game as a Berserker. That just leads to an even grindier start of the playthrough, since it starts right away. Once the water crystal shatters, the Pixel Remaster and the GBA version are basically exactly the same. They merge into one playthrough. My time berserking in Final Fantasy V has finally come to its end. Thank you for watching Backlog Buster. Like and subscribe, and check out the Patreon or channel memberships if you want even more content. I'll catch you all soon for the next video. For real this time.